Hi, my name is Arti Nanchia, and today I will be reviewing with you Gagne's conditions of learning. I'd like to begin by providing you a history or background on this model. And Gagne was able to implement his principles in the U.S. Army, and that is one reason why this model is so structured and organized. He created a hierarchy of learning, which is the 9 events of learning, and because of that sequential approach is rooted in his principles that he used in the Army. He really wanted to deepen the learning process and enhance it. He did a very good job combining a solid behavioral approach and a cognitive approach. And he valued the internal conditions, which is the background information, and activating that with the stimuli that's presented to maximize the learning process. In addition, a very important part of this is in the hierarchy of learnings and in those 9 events, he incorporated the types of learning, which are cognitive strategy, verbal information, attitude, motor skills, and intellectual skills. So it wasn't simply 9 events of learning. However, it's about valuing the internal and external conditions along with the 5 types of learning. Today, I would also like to focus on the learning principles behind Gagne's model and not just the events of learning. In order to be successful, it's not just the execution, rather understanding the way you are executing a lesson. So one of the first steps in this model is to identify the learning outcome. And different outcomes require different instructions. So for example, what may work in one lesson may not work in the other because it's dependent on the learning outcome. Another important component based on the principle is understanding the value of internal and external conditions. This is what optimizes learning. So understanding how and what stimuli you're going to present and how your learner is going to process that is also very, very important. So it's really important that in this process, everything is very organized because that leads to the learning hierarchies. And the learning hierarchies define what intellectual skills are to be learned and the sequence of instruction. So again, it's not just simply executing the 9 events of learning, but understanding the internal and external conditions. In addition, the first step will always be identifying the learning outcome and creating a specific path for your learners. In the next few slides, I will be showing you 2 different set of lesson plans that incorporate Gagne's conditions of learning. And what this does is this really exemplifies how you combine all the information into a successful lesson. So you will see that the 5 types of learning are included in this lesson plan. We are incorporating and understanding the internal and external conditions to optimize the learning process. And of course, we will be implementing, the 9 instructional events in this lesson plan. So different internal and external conditions, like I said, are really important. So as you can see, in order to enhance cognitive strategies, there must be a chance to develop new solutions to problems. And to learn attitudes, the learner must be exposed to different types of activities. So one major thing that I love about this lesson plan is that students have an opportunity to practice using the technology that's required in this activity. So that really helps as a hands-on activity as well. Another component of this lesson plan is under step number 7 is when the teacher and the peers have an opportunity to provide feedback to the student as well as constructive criticism. So that external stimuli really helps students build their confidence and adjust their attitude. So I think that was a really important lesson that I think that a lot of teachers really find value in, is providing that feedback so a student can then modify their performance in the classroom. In this sample lesson plan, I love how the objective or the learning goal is explicitly stated on the beginning. And number 2 of this, it directly states what they will be learning for today. Another great aspect of this lesson plan is when they have an opportunity to show their learning, it's really catering to the 5 different learning styles. And so I thought that was a really great way to do that is through rotations and centers in a classroom. The teacher in this lesson does a fantastic job to assess their performance, which is step number 8. And the task is to compare and contrast, which is a great cognitive strategy. And the students were able to do that in their rotation with the external stimuli that was presented to them. And of course, ultimately, we want the students to be able to retain the information and transfer it into different areas outside of the classroom as well. So I think the teacher did a really good job combining the 5 types of learning, incorporating internal and external conditions, as well as, of course, utilizing the 9 instructional events. Now I'm going to discuss with you the practical development of Gagné's conditions of learning. And as previously stated, the objective is always presented in the beginning of the class. And another component that I really liked about this specific lesson plan was the assessment performance portion, where students have an opportunity to role play. And that's a great way to support the motor skills, and it's also a lot of fun to do. So I liked this aspect of this specific lesson plan. I also liked how another way to enhance retention and transfer is that students are able to incorporate their adverbs into writing. So as we all know, we try not to teach anything in isolation. Rather, we try and combine it with previously taught materials. So combining the reading and writing portion is really important and is a great way to transfer the information that's learned in and processed in this lesson. I'd just like to take this time to thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope that the information that you learned today will help you in your classroom as well. Thanks, and have a great day.